So the media is angry that the media is being bought up by billionaires. And I'm going to walk you through why the media is being bought up by billionaires. Basically, the media is no longer sustainable. And for the longest time, it really wasn't. A lot of it was bankrolled by venture capital. A lot of it was bankrolled by an artificially inflated advertising-based ecosystem. A lot of it was bankrolled by apparently USAID, which who knew? Because as soon as that money stopped, as soon as the spigot was turned off, all these websites started to collapse. And, you know, a lot of these websites were never sustainable on their own. They depended on Google, and Google, you know, had a heel turn arc and basically turned on a lot of websites. So we're going to talk about where the media is. I think the media is completely cooked at this point. I think this is the new era where we have individual voices and we have independent media, independent correspondents, or journalists or armchair critics, whatever you want to call them, people like us. And look, there are lots of people like us, right? But that is what is going to replace the old guard. And, those legacy media outlets are going to get gobbled up by billionaires because of course they are. Of course they are. And they're going to take those offers because of course they are. Where else are they going to get the money from, right? So let's talk about this. Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. This is Kneon, this is CLOWNFISH TV, and this is End Stage Media, I think. So we'll get back to this article. This is actually what prompted the video. The Hollywood Reporter talking about the most powerful people in the world being obsessed with media because they're mad that Sam Altman, who I believe is a scammer, personally, my personal opinion is Sam Altman is not good people, and that he is going to be single-handedly responsible for the AI bubble bursting, and he's going to take a lot of people with him, but I digress. He bought a tech blog or a tech podcast, and they're mad about it, right? So let's talk about this. This was from like 2 weeks ago, and a lot of people missed this. This is coming from the Press Gazette, the top 50 U.S. news websites. Traffic down on 30 news brands, down double digits year over year in February. Press Gazette's monthly ranking of the top 50 news websites in the U.S. using SimilarWeb data. Now, SimilarWeb's not always super accurate, but it gives you a pretty good indication of where things are at. So it said some 30 of the 50 biggest news websites in the U.S. saw double-digit year-on-year traffic declines in February, according to SimilarWeb. Overall, 11 sites out of the top 50 saw year-on-year growth in traffic in February. Visits to ABC News fell the most, down 64%. 64% decline, ABC News. The news site also saw the steepest month-over-month decline in traffic, down 65%. Newsweek saw the second biggest drop in visits year-over-year, down 48% to 40.5 million, followed by The Independent, down 43% in a year, guys, in a year. That's not sustainable. When you look at all these layoffs and you're like, why are they laying so many people off in the media? It must be mean old Donald Trump. No, the traffic is not there to keep the website running. That is the truth. And we saw this on our end. We actually own several niche websites. Some of those sites we've had for 15, 20 years. And we had to lay most of our writers off because the traffic is not there. And this is an industry-wide problem. It's not a right or a left thing. It is Google. Basically, everybody depended on Google to send traffic until Google decided it no longer wanted to send people to other websites. It wanted to keep them on the Google search page with AI snippets. And that pretty much nuked the entire ecosystem. So they're all blaming Trump and blaming billionaires and, whatever. That's only part of the story. The real story is your good buddies at Google fucked you over is what happened. And it wasn't the AI to train their data. That's what their big concern was. Like, you're going to steal our articles and train your AI. No, they're just not going to send traffic to your site at all. They're going to give people an overview of your article, and that's it. And that's for most people. If they're just looking for an answer to a question or something, they just want to basically know what's going on. They'd rather read one short paragraph than read your 90-paragraph manifesto about whatever the hell it is, right? And that's what they're doing. The Sun has recorded the biggest growth, though. They went up 42%. This was followed by Al Jazeera up 30%. The Guardian, they're always begging for money. They're like the beggiest damn website out there. The Guardian's up 21%. I wonder how many people go to the Guardian just to laugh at them. That's why we go to the Guardian. And the Mary Sue, I know Geeky mentioned this the other day. She said she went to the Mary Sue and she said that like 90% of the writers on the Mary Sue now have names that sound like they're potentially from India. And that wouldn't be like any big deal, except I don't really think they had any Indian writers before. But I told her, I said, well, if they're outsourcing all that stuff to India, that means they're paying these people probably $2 to $3 an article because that's all they can afford, because the money's not there, because the traffic's not there. They said today went up 21%. Well, today probably went up 21% because of Savannah Guthrie's mom. That's probably a big part of it. The Atlantic followed ABC News and biggest month-on-month traffic decline, down 25%. The Independent was close, 22%. Local news site Alabama.com, covering Alabama, Minnesota, they dropped out of the top 50. So here's the list, and we'll look at that, and then we're going to go out and talk about billionaires buying up the media, because this is why they are buying up the media, because the media can't pay its own bills. They need a sugar daddy or mama, mostly daddy. So sexism. ABC News down 64%, Newsweek down 48%, Independent down 43%, Variety is down 42%. That explains why the ads are so damn obnoxious. U.S. News 41%, Forbes down 41%, Reuters down 41%, WashingtonPost.com down 36%, MSN down 36%, Breitbart even down 36%. So MSN and Breitbart are both losing the same number of eyeballs. So this is not a political thing. Or it could just be a case of people are tired of polarized news. But you can see the juxtaposition. Yeah, because the Daily Mail is down 33%. Newsmax is down 32%. The New York Post is down 28%. Gateway Pundit's down 31%. BuzzFeed's down another 26%. It just goes on and on. NPR is down 25%. News.google.com, they're down 25%. People aren't even going to Google News anymore to look for news. Huffington Post, 24%. Bloomberg, 23%. CNN, 22%. Fox News, yeah, CNN and Fox News both had a similar decline of about 20%. San Francisco Gate, 17. Wall Street Journal, 17. Daily Beast, you get it, right? Drudge Report, right? So you get it. This is an industry-wide problem. And as a guy that owns websites who is seriously thinking about just packing it in when it comes to websites, because I don't understand the purpose of it now, right? There is really no purpose when you're seeing these kind of massive declines. But this leads us to this. The Hollywood Reporter, the most powerful people in the world are obsessed with media. Yes, because they can buy it on the cheap. That's the truth. They can buy it on the cheap. Sam Altman is buying his favorite show. Larry Ellison's buying CNN to merge it with CBS News, which I told people that was going to happen. And they said, you're full of shit. And I said, you watch. That's totally going to happen. Jamie Dimon is toying with launching a venture. It may mark a new era of vanity media owners. Well, I want to introduce you to Alexander Hamilton. It was even in the Hamilton musical. He started the Post, the Hearst family, media, the Murdochs. I mean, this is nothing new. Here's the truth. The most powerful people in the world want to control the most powerful platforms in the world, and they've got the money to do it. And I'm sorry, I wish I could spin a fairy tale for you that said, hey, you can just be a little scrappy upstart and you can just, go out and do it. And no, what'll happen is eventually they'll offer to buy you out. And if you don't go for it, they'll destroy you. That's how it works. I'm just saying that's usually how this thing works, right? But I digress. This is coming from the Hollywood Reporter. It's a tale as old as time. Are you a corporate titan unhappy with how you or your company are portrayed in the realm of popular opinion? Good news. You can buy the media. They're angry about it now, but Hollywood bought all of nerd media back in the 2010s. Nerdist and I think Legendary bought them. Like you can go back. CBS News bought a whole bunch, or CBS bought a whole bunch of websites, video game websites, like comicbook.com, Valnet bought a whole bunch of nerd websites, and a lot of these companies have connections to Hollywood. So that's what happened. So now they're mad, though, that people they don't like are buying the media. Basically, right wingers. They don't want right wingers to have the media. But the truth is, most of these websites were never truly sustainable, and we basically had a lot of luck. And again, this is coming from a guy who has had a lot of experience running websites, and we basically got lucky for a couple of decades, right? And now it's over. We had our moment, and now it's over. For a business as bad as media, big business sure is obsessed with it, and there may be signs that a new class of vanity media owner is in the works. On Thursday, OpenAI acquired the hot tech talk show TBPN, which streams live on YouTube, X, and other platforms. I have never watched it. Wait. This is the show? This is it? TBPN? They've got 60,000 subscribers, and I just did a check. They get like 800,000 views a month on YouTube. And he just bought them? Well, maybe I should have called Sam Altman a con artist, because we cover tech too, Sam, just so you know. This episode of Clownfish TV is sponsored by ChatGPT. No, but that's wild because they're not that big. And that was the same with Barry Weiss being put in charge of CBS, right? Like, she had a Substack and it was doing well, but they paid her like $150 million for a Substack that I don't even think it generated $1 million a year. And typically when you buy a company, you're looking at 3 to 5 years revenue. There's no way in hell it was gonna make $150 million, in my opinion. But that's wild. So yeah, OpenAI acquired the hot tech talk show TB. It's not that hot. Why do people look at these podcast numbers and they're like, this is the hottest thing ever? You go out and look at it and it's like, okay, it got 100,000 views this month. It's the hottest show ever. Bullshit. And then they ignore us. We get like millions of views a month. I mean, I'm like, what the fuck? Anyway, which streams on YouTube, X, and other platforms. Sam Altman, OpenAI's CEO, made no secret of why his company cut the deal. It's my favorite tech show. We want them to keep that going and for them to do what they do so well. I don't expect them to go any easier on us. I'm sure I'll do my part to help enable that with occasional stupid decisions. Well, all right then. You're a con artist. Pay me. OpenAI Applications CEO Fiji Simo told his staff at the company that TBPN founders Jordy Hayes and John Coogan will advise OpenAI on communications and marketing. Shutting down Sora like a thief in the night, that's not good. That's not good for optics. Media coverage of OpenAI isn't constructive, so let's buy one that will be. Once again, the most powerful people in the world want a piece of the media business. Larry Ellison, the Oracle Titan, is backing his son David's $111 billion takeover of CNN owner Warner Brothers Discovery after previously backing his acquisition of CBS News last year. Yeah, they're basically buying, it's like a yard sale. Here's the thing. Like, people are like, oh my God, guys, they're going out of their way to spend. It's like, no, these companies are being sold off at fire sale prices. Maybe not Warner Brothers so much, but like Paramount's failing. Right? These websites are failing. BuzzFeed's failing. They're all failing. And they're all going to wind up consolidated just to survive, right? And the only people that have money in this economy are the billionaires. Well, let's be honest. So the CEO of JP Morgan Chase, Jamie Dimon, told Axios this week that he wants to start a media business, citing poor coverage of critical areas. I think media is critical. Media teaches everybody. Media is the great influencer. The titans of industry joined fellow travelers like Elon Musk, who is a frequent critic of the mainstream media, encouraging his followers to share X links with their friends and family instead. X is, I am really, so I gave X a shot for like a month. I was actually posting articles and video streams and shit over there. And I got to tell you, I don't think it's going to last. I think when you're subscribing to X, you're paying for grok. And that's what they want. They want you to bankroll grok. I don't think normal people use X. I think it's basically people that are very online and media types, and the people now, it's just people who want to troll. Grandma's not using it. The average person isn't using it. I think you're going to reach more people on like TikTok or Instagram than you are on X. That is my personal opinion. As somebody who once called Elon Musk my space daddy, right? That is my personal opinion. Is I think it's not going that great, personally. It said tech billionaires have also dabbled in media. Jeff Bezos bought the Washington Post. Dr. Patrick Soon-Shiong's deal for the LA Times and Salesforce. CEO Mark Benioff bought Time. Back in the mid-90s, Microsoft partnered with NBC to launch MSNBC, which is failing so badly, at least the TV network, that they had to spin it off. Media is sexy, it's fun. No, it's not. It carries weight and influence. Actually dealing with reporters and running the logistics of a newsroom or media brand is something entirely different. Bezos has laid off scores of journalists after an ill-fated growth play, but they're all failing, and they're not failing as hard as like ABC. Soon-Shiong has done the same. Again, let's refer to these numbers. Let's look at these numbers, and this isn't even television. This is just the websites. All these websites are losing year over year, 64%, 48%, 40%, 36%. That is not sustainable. Okay? It's not sustainable. Investors Nolan podcast co-host Jason Kalakanis posted this week, founders, take my advice. Do not talk to the press. Go direct and do long-form podcasts. Wired and the New York Times are biased, as is Fox News and MS Now these days. This is a function of their need to pander to one side to survive, be it through a $3 a month subscription or rage-baiting ad-based stories. He's not wrong. It's funny, we talk about, some of these articles, and I said about the Mary Sue and what Geeky was telling me, and it's like some of the headlines are beyond parody, but that's by design because it made you look. Right. I mean, it really is a lot like YouTube, but here's the difference is this is the mainstream media, and you can see as the views started to dry up just how desperate a lot of these companies became. Right. So yeah, it totally makes sense that they're collapsing. That explains why they're rage baiting, why the New York Post is running some of the articles they are. Even I'm like, some of this stuff is like the dumbest shit from Reddit, and they're running entire articles on it. And it turns out that it's because their views are declining too. It is what it is, right? They said the ruined landscape of media companies that were bought and sold by the powers that be at the time show the business, as bad as it is, has a habit of making those buyers regret it eventually. The audience ultimately is running the show, as much as owners might like to wag the dog. The media needs to understand that too. When they come to podcasters and they come to YouTubers and they come to influencers and they reject you, you need to take your own advice and realize that's the audience rejecting you. Instead, what they do is they rage at podcasters and YouTubers. How many hit pieces have been written on Joe Rogan because he's the biggest podcast? The audience decided Joe Rogan was going to be the biggest podcaster. And that's it, right? And it's not for lack of trying. I mean, you got banned from YouTube and all this other crazy stuff, or they were deboosting him. I remember Rogan was on YouTube interviewing Trump, which should have been one of the biggest live streams or whatever, and they hid it, right? So it's like so basically tech companies and the media have just kind of congealed, and it's whoever's got the money controls the media, and that's always been the case. That has always been the case. So I'm going to wrap it up. Please subscribe. We'll talk later.